Hello and welcome to CTI Group's channel. Today we bring you another video of our Executive Outlook series, which is meant to keep you informed about the cruise lines you work for or hope to work for in the future. Recently, Holland America Line's brand ambassador, Seth spoke with president of the line, Gus Antorcha, about their newly announced restart of Alaska cruising that will take place in late July. The cruise line plans to have one ship, the Nieuw Amsterdam, sail its Alaska itinerary on July 24th with the necessary protocols. The two discuss various aspects of HAL's Alaska restart, answering questions about onboard protocols, ship capacity, vaccination requirements, and more. So, let's not waste any more time and get to the video.
Hey there, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. I'm your brand ambassador, Seth. Welcome to another edition of HAL Aboard. We've got a special guest, our president, Gus Antorcha. He will be joining me here in just a moment, but we have so many things to talk about today. You have heard in the news, no doubt, that we have been back to Alaska. We are going back to Alaska, and thank you to the Alaska delegation. You can see the senators there to the left. And of course, we have Dan Sullivan and Senator Lisa Murkowski, as well as Representative Don Young there to the right, and President Biden, who has signed the Alaska Tourism Restoration Act. And that is giving us the allowance to get into Alaska, to sail from Seattle. Of course, Holland America being Seattle's hometown cruise line. And bottom line is, we are so pumped, not only for our port here in Seattle, but the ports across Southeast Alaska. We missed Alaska in 2020, of course, due to the pandemic, but we are so excited to have the Nieuw Amsterdam, a gorgeous ship that is going to be sailing the waters in Alaska. We are so pumped not only to have Nieuw Amsterdam here in Seattle, but our treasured communities up and down the Alaska coast. And with that said, let's bring in Gus Antorcha, the president of Holland America Line. I like to call him my boss's 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 boss, but a friend. Gus, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, Seth?
I'm doing really well. So Gus, tell me, last time we were chatting here on HAL Aboard, you brought us the great news that Eurodam is going to be in Greece. And now I bring you back here with another dose of good news that Nieuw Amsterdam is back in Alaska, and we cannot be any more excited.
Yeah, I think you said it well. We're very excited with the news of last week. It's really given us the certainty we needed to really gear up the restart efforts, which the teams are 100% focused on. So it's great news. It's great news for the brand. It's great news for the industry, for Seattle and the communities up in Alaska.
Yeah, indeed. All right. So Gus, let's talk about this. And please, if you have any questions whatsoever for Gus, go ahead and put those in the comment section. We have hundreds of you that continue to come through. Close to 500 of you are watching us live here on this special edition of HAL Aboard. What are we expecting for the upcoming Alaska season, Gus?
So we, as many guests already know, we're consolidating the bookings onto one ship, Nieuw Amsterdam. The ship will start to sail July 24th from Seattle to Alaska. And our hope and what we're working towards is really operating very close to normal, what I would call normalcy. I think shoreside, we're slowly reaching the point where things are becoming more and more normal. And I think by the time late July, August rolls around, we'll be able to operate mostly normal, because we've made some enhancements and some upgrades and some changes. But as far as the guest experience goes, I'm hoping it'll be very close to normal.
Yeah, and a lot of you are asking right now all about masks. A lot of you are asking about vaccinations, and I want to go ahead and put this up here, saying that Holland America Line cruises to Alaska are available for guests who have received their final dose of an approved COVID-19 vaccine at least 14 days prior to the beginning of the cruise and have proof of that vaccination. So Gus, tell us why, as a company, did we make this requirement?
I think what it enables us to do is we'll have a lot more freedom on board to operate if we start the cruises this way, which we are. What happens 3, 4, 5 months down the road. We're not sure. We're just very focused on restarting in Alaska and restarting in Greece. And we felt it was easier for us to restart by putting in that requirement in conjunction with the ports and in the country. So Greece very much wanted us to operate vaccinated cruises, and in working with Washington State and Alaska, their preference was the same. And so by doing that, it really allows us to operate a bit more freely at the start.
Mm-hmm. And of course, a lot of people are asking about mask mandates. Are there going to be a mask mandate? Do we know that? Are masks going to be required on board? What's your protocol there?
Sure. So we've been working very closely with the CDC. I mean, the objective here of both the industry and the CDC is to offer one of the safest, I would argue the safest, but one of the safest vacations for Americans, for our guests. And so the vaccinations was the first piece of that. We're now working through the final protocols, the recommendations, the requirements with the CDC. The two outstanding issues that we have are really around physical distancing and mask wearing. I think we're very close. I think we'll get to a place where we can operate very close to normal. That final direction, those final recommendations, I'm hoping we get within the next week or two, and that'll then let us communicate exactly how we will be running the onboard operation. But I tell you, the discussions are very positive with the CDC, and so I generally expect us to be very close to normal when we operate these cruises.
Yeah, great news there. More than 500 of our loyal guests are still with us here, and thank you so much. Again, if you have questions for our President Gus, please go ahead and ask that. I'm going to start with Jonathan's question. He has two questions here. One, will the ship be at full capacity? And two, will independent shore excursions / walking around port independently be permitted? Feel free to answer which one you want to answer first.
Sure. So I've been getting these questions a lot, both of these. So the first one is, we will start at 50% capacity. The first sailing will be at 50%, and then we will slowly take it up from there. Our plans right now are not to fill to 100%. We're still working through. We need the final recommendations from CDC to really understand what type of, if we'll have limitations on, for example, a venue. And so then we need to work backwards in terms of what we feel comfortable as far as the total occupancy for the ship. But the first sailing will be at 50, and then we'll go up from there. The second question I've also received a lot, and this will be true for both Greece and Alaska, is that from everything we know right now, guests will absolutely be able to get off in port, walk around, visit a cafe, coffee shop, go to a souvenir shop, walk around town. Will absolutely be available, and that's true in Greece as well as Alaska. We will have a robust tour program available, as we always do. Should that be more, what the guests and their group want to do. But our intention right now, and everything's pointing in this direction, is that guests will be able to just get off in port and just walk around and enjoy their day if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, it's going to be back to normal, quote unquote, when you get back on board and when you go ashore. And I certainly think that a lot of our guests are hoping to hear that good news, and certainly happy that they'll experience all of Alaska and what Greece has to offer as well. Going back to the vaccinations, Mark's asking a good one here. This is not a common vaccine here in the States, but AstraZeneca approved for use in Canada, the United Kingdom, and a number of other countries. Will the 2 doses of AstraZeneca satisfy the vaccine requirements for Holland America Line?
We're pending final direction on that. We're going to take the direction from the CDC. I think as we will have that updated on the FAQs as far as what vaccines will be acceptable. So far, we're working under the direction of the CDC and FDA. So it's those approved in the United States. But that can change and evolve in the next, in the coming weeks.
Yeah. So Gus, let me ask this, and a lot of people are asking the same question here. How are we requiring documentation when it comes to vaccines? And I know that that is also evolving, and if that is still the answer, then that's the answer. But a lot of people are wondering, how are we going to combat phony vaccine things and cards and so on and so forth? And I know that you're getting that question a lot too.
Yeah, I think the easiest thing right now would be to save the CDC card that you get if you're from the United States, that you get from the CDC that says you received the vaccination. That would be my recommendation for those in the U.S. There's been a lot of talk about vaccine certificates and vaccine passports. I think that's uncertain at this point. There's areas of the world that support it. There's areas of the world that don't. So I would say, keep that CDC card. And if from abroad, I'm sure I'm not familiar with what you get when you get vaccinated abroad, but if there's a letter from a doctor, or if you went to sort of a clinic or anything like that, any type of documentation, it'll be likely country specific. But for the U.S., the easiest thing is that CDC card.
So Gus, let me ask you this one, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, but a lot of folks are chiming in and saying that they don't believe in the vaccine, that they don't want to cruise with us because they have to be vaccinated. Our future isn't, solidified that we get the vaccine for future, so on and so forth. What do you want to tell those guests who are watching right now that are commenting? Some with not the most polite comments, if you will. But if you are watching us now, what do you want to tell those guests who are saying they refuse to get the vaccine, they will not cruise with us anymore, so on and so forth? So, choosing to get vaccinated or not vaccinated, it is a personal choice, obviously. I mean, it is about how everyone's free to manage their health decisions. Obviously, it's their body, and everyone should have the right to be able to choose whether they want to be vaccinated or not. For us, it's more around how do we limit the variables in order to get started. And we don't know what we're going to do after the Alaska season. That's still to be determined. We don't know what we'll do in the winter. Those are really questions we still have to answer as far as requiring or not vaccination. What we're trying to do here is limit the amount of variables and get us started in a way that eliminated uncertainty for the states and the countries we visit. I mean, very, very clearly, Greece wanted us to be vaccinated, and so if that's what we need to do to get started, then that's what we're doing. We always have to be in compliance, and we always have to follow the direction of the governmental authorities that we're working with. And so, I think for the group, I know there's varying opinions on the vaccine, but I'd ask them to, think about, if you're running the company and your priority was trying to just get started, get going in a way that, we're taking direction from government officials. We're trying to get us started. We're trying to crew the ships back up. We're trying to visit these communities. We just want to limit the amount of variables that we're having, to wrestle with and deal with. Well said. All right, now let's talk about the onboard experience just a little bit. And if you have answers for these guests, that would be awesome. Andrea saying, will the pools be open? And before you answer that, Grace is saying, isn't it too cold for the pool? I have been to Alaska more than 10 times. And I would say in a majority of those times, the weather has been amazing. I've been having an ice cream cone by the pool. And yes, you could still enjoy the pool when you're in Alaska. There's nothing like laying in the pool or the hot tub and you're just looking around and you see these glaciers and these mountains go by. But Andrea's question here, as we digress, will the pools be open?
So the pools will be open. I'm not sure if on the ship we're sailing in Alaska, you think we would. I mean, it'd be fairly logical, but if we have heated pools or not. I'm sure the jacuzzis will be heated, but we may very well also have heated pools. I actually don't know if on Nieuw Amsterdam the pools are heated or not, but yes, the pools will be open. Absolutely.
All right. That's good to know. Peter wants to know how you handle the buffet service. Good question. And of course, our Lido is not It is a self-serve, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, our Lido's served.
Right.
We have some self-service options, and I think at least for the initial start, we won't be offering self-service. It was very small. I think we had like a coffee stand and some snacks, but we have served Lido, and we plan on continuing to operate that as such.
All right. So another question for you, Gus, is not so much with Greece, not so much with Alaska. And of course, you can book your cruises on our signature class being Eurodam in Greece and Nieuw Amsterdam in Alaska by going to hollandamerica.com, calling your travel advisor, or of course, our personal cruise consultants. But let's talk about Rotterdam, because I know a lot of folks are interested in Rotterdam. They are yet to make their final payment on a maiden voyage. Is that going to happen? What is the plan with Rotterdam? Do we know yet? I know that you and your team have been working incredibly hard on getting Alaska and Greece up and running, but now what about Rotterdam?
Yep. So everything we know from Fincantieri is that the build of the ship is progressing on time. We just completed the sea trials just a couple weeks ago, so everything's progressing. We should be taking delivery right at the very end of July, and so everything as far as building the ship goes is looking good. As far as operating those cruises, we still have a little bit more work to do in Northern Europe to make sure we have port agreements and direction from all the different countries we're visiting on those itineraries. And so there's a little bit more work to do before we can 100% confirm those sailings.
So what you told me last time, and I keep using this quote over and over again because I think it's so well, that if you want a definitive cruise, do Greece. I then borrowed your quote. I never asked you, so I just borrowed it. I said, if you want a definitive cruise, go to Greece and Alaska. Is that what you're still standing by, at least as of right now?
Yes. I mean, that's why we've confirmed both of those programs. I think if you look further out into the year, where those ships go, you could feel pretty good about it. So Nieuw Amsterdam comes back around, sails the Caribbean in the fall and winter, and Eurodam also comes back into the Caribbean. But yes, if you want 100% certainty or 90+% certainty, those are the ships to focus on. I suspect we'll be confirming more and more programs and itineraries and ships over the next coming weeks here. It's really starting to ramp up, and the discussions with all the different countries and authorities we need to work with is really sort of gaining momentum and gaining speed. And it's all based on, the US and Europe has made a lot of headway as far as vaccinations and lowering the infection rates. And so that gives regulators and countries greater confidence in opening up for travel. I mean, just last week, was it last week or week before, the EU said, if you're American and you're vaccinated, it's easy to go to Europe. You're welcome to come to Europe for the summer. And so you're starting to see openings as regulators and governments gain confidence. And I think we're going to see that accelerate over the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm. A lot of folks chiming in from Florida, both of us South Floridians. And tell me, Gus, how are things going in Florida in the sense of cruising, be it from the Port of Miami or from Port Everglades, where we home port many of our ships in the wintertime?
Yeah, I actually met with the port director in Fort Lauderdale last week. We're working very closely with the port and the state of Florida. Everything's progressing very, very quickly, and so I'm optimistic we'll be operating our fall winter schedule as planned out of South Florida. We don't get to Florida until probably late October, November timeframe. I believe other cruise lines, Carnival Cruise Line, for example, is much further along at starting their operations much sooner, probably in the late summer timeframe as well. I'm not up to speed exactly with what they've announced, but as we Holland America Line are planning Alaska. I'm sure in parallel they're planning their restart in Florida.
So it's a little after 5 in the morning for our friends in Australia, and we have some Australians that are watching. So very early good morning to you. Gus, what do you want to tell our friends there in Australia who are all chiming in, saying hello to Gus, can't wait to see your Holland America Line ships again, questions on circumnavigation around Australia. I know Australia and New Zealand are kind of like their own little bubble, if you will, that have their own, and as countries, they've been doing an incredible job. There's certainly no doubt about it, but we certainly have our loyal fans down there. What do you want to say to them?
Well, good morning. First of all, thank you for getting up so early. So I think for Australia, there's really two paths. And I think one, I'll tell you which are the two, which is basically we can potentially at some point get a ship into the bubble and then operate within that bubble. That would be the fastest way to return to cruising in Australia. And the other one is, hopping on a plane and flying out and joining, one of the Holland America ships at any number of ports. I think the former is a little more likely at this point. Australia has been very cautious, together with New Zealand, on how to manage the pandemic. So I think they're gonna. My guess would be, and it's a guess. Our Australian past guests would know more. My guess would be is they're going to continue to be very conservative and put limitations and long quarantine requirements for international travel.
Yeah. So Australia, New Zealand, I know that we cannot wait to get back down there. I know you're enjoying our Amsterdam, and you will enjoy the Amsterdam with her exciting new things to have on board. And I will see you in Australia as soon as everything's opened up and things kind of get back to normal, if you will. Scott's asking a great question here, Gus, and we only have time for a few more because I know you and I both have some meetings later this afternoon. So thanks again for taking time out of your day doing this. Scott's saying, can we count on Holland America Line to deliver the high standards of service from the Filipino, Indonesian, and Dutch crew members that we have so been accustomed to? Because I will say there is nothing like the Holland America Line crew and the rest of our team members.
I don't see why we wouldn't. We are not making any changes that'll affect service level. We're not only changing our strategy from where we recruit from and where we bring back our team members. I think it'll be the same service that everyone has experienced and grown accustomed to. So nothing's changing on that dimension.
Okay, that's really good news. No doubt about that. We certainly have our world cruisers, and the reason why I'm looking over to the side here, everyone, is just to kind of keep up with your comments that continue to come through. But a lot of our world cruisers are chiming in, also saying, "You have any update on our 2022 world cruises yet?"
No, unfortunately not. I mean, I'm very focused at trying to figure out a way to operate those. I think those are just a wonderful part of the Holland America program. And I get a lot of letters from World Cruises asking if we're going to operate, when we're going to operate, and when we'll have certainty. I think those, we got to go in steps. We've got to get back into service, which now we have some clear paths to. We have to ramp up our fleet, which I think it'll happen mostly in the U.S. and some in Europe, and then we'll have to really start planning the grand voyages and the world cruise. I think those just require, there are more countries to talk to, and there's some of the parts of the world that we visit with those voyages are still struggling, are still managing very high numbers with the pandemic, and so I think it'll get better. Certainly as their vaccination efforts progress, those countries will get better. And so we could really open up a dialogue, and we have time. Those cruises don't operate, I think, till very, very early next year. And so we have time to work through some of this.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to Port Everglades with you, Gus, and the rest of our team. and to see our world cruisers off, because it's like nothing I've seen before. I was there at the beginning of our January 2022 voyage, and it truly is. You see signs that say welcome home. It's your home for 4 months. And it really is an amazing sign of camaraderie, friendship. I mean, there is nothing like it. So I know our world cruisers certainly can't wait to get back on board. And we're a business too. I mean, we want the cruise to go. It's not like Gus wakes up in the morning and says, let's cancel, be done. Yeah. I mean, this is something that we want to happen as well.
Totally agree. It is a very painful decision to cancel voyages. Not just for the company financially, but I know the planning and the anticipation and the emotion that guests have, that our past guests have in planning a cruise. And so I know it's a big letdown. We're doing everything we can and have been the last 15 months to get back into operation. But it's been a good week. I've had worse weeks. I can tell you that this has been a good week. There's a lot of positive news. There's a lot of positive momentum. I think we now have a clear line of sight for a restart, and we're excited about that.
Yeah. So one more question, and a lot of these questions are coming in regarding Rotterdam, going back to what we were talking about before. Donna and many others. I mean, there's now close to 600 people saying, when can we expect a decision for Rotterdam? And I'm not going to put you there on the point of saying what day, but there are a lot of people who are now asking a follow-up to what you were talking about earlier. Right. When can we expect that decision?
I'm gonna push probably in the next 30 days or so to try to get some clarity and get some visibility. I think we owe it to our guests. Mm-hmm. Right? They're trying to make plans. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do their summer. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really trying to push. Part of me is, if you push too early, governments aren't ready to engage, and so you end up canceling something that you could probably have operated if you waited a little bit. If you wait too long, it's really unfair to all the guests that have booked and are really looking forward to it. So it's a tough balance, but I think in the next 30 days, we're going to try and get some certainty around the start of Rotterdam.
Our Canadian friends are saying, hey, Gus, we know you're skipping Canada this year, but please don't forget about us. Please come back to Victoria.
Why would we? I love Canada.
I know. Victoria is a great charming city. I think one of our highlights on our itinerary.
I think what I want to convey to all the enthusiasts and the past guests that we have is, we are trying to start. And so we're having to, do things we don't really want to, but we kind of have to get us starting. And starting is what's so important here. Once we start, we build on that, we add more ships, and we work towards getting back to normal, which absolutely includes stopping in Canada. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So many people are saying thank you for your time. And Claire saying thanks for taking the time to talk with us and being so transparent. Jane saying love these discussions and love HAL. Wayne is saying thank you, Gus and Seth, for the updates. Liam, who runs our Holland America Lines fan page with 15,000 members, thank you so much. Love the chat, so on and so forth. But I want to leave with this, and I love how Roberta says this. Roberta says, the best part of cruise is embarking and the worst is disembarking. In between is outstanding and never disappointed. I think we need that as a t-shirt.
Well said.
Right? I know. It needs to be like our new motto, Roberta. Do we send you a cruise for this? But yeah, it's so true.
There's nothing like walking up that gangway, right? Yep. Right. When you're peaking and you're getting the sights of the ship and you're sort of, and that anticipation it's just incredible. And I agree, that morning where you're like, oh, is this really happening?
I know. The worst, I think, is putting the luggage outside the night before. And you're like, oh my gosh.
The beginning really of the end here.
Right. I know. Exactly. All right, Gus, what do you want to leave us with here? Incredible news from Greece. I can't wait. I'll be on the first sailing there August 15th on Eurodam. I'll be on the first sailing for New Amsterdam in Alaska, showing our guests all over the world how well we've come out of all of this. What do you want to leave us with?
I think I really just want to thank everybody for being patient with us. I know it's been a tough period and we've changed plans and we've canceled and we've done all these things that, we're not happy and we're not, we had to do what we needed to do, but thank you for hanging in there with us and thank you for being patient. And I very much look forward to seeing as many of you on board when I'm on board the ships.
Absolutely. Drinks on Gus.
Absolutely. We'll throw
and then I'll get a note. I'll be like, and it's coming out of your check. Hey, Gus Antorcha, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Please come back. I know you will. These are huge, and we've had hundreds and hundreds of people that are watching and commenting. So really appreciate you and your transparency and taking the time.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Right.
Thank you.
Gus. Yep, we'll talk to you soon. And once again, our New Amsterdam sailings available starting July 24th. They are available to book right now at hollandamerica.com, calling your travel advisor or, of course, your personal cruise consultant, and our Greece voyages as well on board Eurodam. And you can also find out more by visiting hollandamerica.com, calling that travel advisor of yours. They become your best friends after a while. There is no doubt. I used to be a travel advisor. I know all about it. Having that close relationship, there's nothing like it. Or, of course, having that relationship with our personal cruise consultants, too. So for Gus Antorcha and all of us behind the scenes at Holland America Line, thank you so much for taking the time and being here with us today. If I didn't get your question answered, please go ahead and send me a message. If you haven't already liked my page at Seth Wayne Holland America Line, please do so and send me that direct message, and hopefully I can get an answer for you. So again, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you back here next time. Bye for now, friends.
Now, wasn't that an informative video? Antorcha answered many different questions for us all about this upcoming Alaska season on the Nieuw Amsterdam. Holland America Line is moving forward with their restart and are working hard to get operations back to normal. It's great to know that communication with the CDC has been positive. As it was said in the video, Holland America Line is grateful for everyone who has remained patient during these times. Let us know in the comments if you are excited about Holland America Line operating in Alaska once again. Don't forget to give us a like and share this video with your friends. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to be updated whenever we post new content. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.